Tonight, we're here in West Springs in Union County, South Carolina on a search for the fabled West Springs wangdoodle.
We were supervised by a professional and had permission before we started filming.
Do not try this at home.
It was off in the distance. So what I did was I told them, I said, turn your stereos down, turn your stereos down. And by the time they did, the last 2 seconds is all you heard of the scream.
Move up a little bit.
And I turned around and my car was the only one sitting here and everybody left me.
Yeah.
And I went, that's an eerie feeling down here. And it was pitch black, the night's kind of bright.
Yeah.
I do have a spotlight too, y'all. It's like a medium candle light. But all those people from Union, and I don't remember who they was because I didn't know them. I pulled it down here and a crowd of people was here. And they all believed because they heard the tail end of it. So yeah. It's for real. The animal is about yay big, medium-sized dog. Looks kind of like a hyena with a real long face, not a pug face. It drags its tail, and the tail's a big bushy tail, and it runs kind of cockeyed like a hyena. It's really funny looking. I seen it once my whole life and didn't even realize I seen it until I got home and I heard it screaming down there in the dogs and we lived in Mount Lebanon. We can also go over and go to Bottoms. I can take you over there where my daddy and them used to sit when they were kids. I'm trying to get y'all enough footage, enough things. We'll do this a couple of times. You can go down below Willis Hembry's place on the Hully Bridge Road.
Yeah.
Sit in the highway, and we have a predator call. It's a rabbit squeal.
Oh, yeah.
And it calls up a lot of coyotes now. Coyotes wasn't that plentiful. More foxes come out used to. But anyway, I may can get it to holler. But normally when that thing screams, y'all, you don't hear crickets. You don't hear whippoorwills. I mean, and it's a 40-second, it's over 30 seconds long. It starts out like a real high-pitched whistle. And then it goes down into like a baby crying and screaming. Then to a woman screaming and crying, and then to a man to a growl. And it lasts from, that's longer than 30 seconds. I've told everybody it's about 40, 45 seconds long. Once you start hearing it, you think it's a fire whistle way off in the distance. It's real high-pitched, though.
And we have to get proof. Are you videoing right now?
Yeah.
Okay. We have to get proof that we're okay to video you during this, so.
Oh, sure,
okay.
yeah. Yeah, you have my permission. I mean, I really was going to see about getting us a big camera that would shoot for night vision, because in these fields and stuff, and where I take you over to the Bottoms, is you may get a night vision glimpse of it walking. It looks like a dog or a wolf is what it looks like off in the distance. But as long as it's dragging its tail, so if y'all see any of this years from now, an animal is walking through the woods and it's dragging a big bushy tail behind it, and it looks like a hyena, but the head's really long. One of the eerie things that my brother Ira seen it up really close, about 10 foot away, is its eyes has no pupil and it's all yellow. And he said, he said, that's an ugly dog. And that's the same thing I said when I was in the deer stand. I had a spot scope and I was looking around like this, and I saw it, and it was probably further than the length of this field, which is maybe 150 yards away. And I was in a deer stand over there in the Bottoms, and I was looking at it, and I said, that's an ugly dog. And I started climbing down the ladder, and it started to scream. And my dog Lady and Fluffy in the pen, because I didn't take them with me, normally I took them with me, were raising Cain. When I got up there, then they got quiet. But a really good chance that you'll see something is when you're riding around at night and you don't see any possums cross the road, no coons, nothing moving, real still. Stop in on the Hully Bridge Road and sit and listen. Because the swamp area that goes to our Bottoms is to the right from Willis's place. But let me grab my spotlight, and we'll sit here and I'll let y'all, you can hear the whippoorwill, so that's a good sign to start out with that it hadn't already screamed. Yeah, you stay right there, the only bad part, and I'm glad y'all come down here and you can film, you can film around and stuff, and that's fine. I've only heard it scream that once down here. And I saw it that time, and I've heard it more in the Bottoms over towards Mount Lebanon. Now listen, trees are connected. There's roads between here and there, is no problem, but it runs Sugar Creek my father used to. They used to set up, and back in the olden days, they had a record player to kind of you crank up and had the horn on it, and you put a record on, and it would do a predator call, something like this. It sounds like a baby rabbit crying. So. That brings out predators, and this thing wouldn't come out after that. Foxes, they were calling up foxes to shoot, and this thing crossed the road in front of them a bunch of times, and my dad didn't let the dogs out. They was coon hunting one night. They let the dogs out. The thing, they started chasing it, and it ran, and my dad told me, he said, they could get about 100 yards or so close to it, and it would take off running again. And I don't know if y'all have ever been coon hunting with a dog, but a dog makes a certain bark or a howl when they tree something. Now, that's the other thing. This thing has retractable claws, even though it looks like a dog. The paw prints that I've seen live in creek bank looks like a cat print with no claw print. A dog can't retract its claws, a cat can. That's why this thing is such an oddity. Wangdoodle came up when my dad and was kids, and my dad would be 80-something years old now. If he was alive, I heard this my whole life, and I didn't know if it was real or not, and they talked about it like you see a possum crossing the road. You know, it wasn't no big deal to them. I mean, they saw it all the time, and they heard it. But when Daddy said it ruined a lot of nights hunting, because when it was on the move, nothing else was, so they couldn't get a possum, a coon, or anything to run at night, or call a fox up. So, but this is the spring. This field here has held some pretty interesting things happen down here. But like I said, the only time I ever heard the wangdoodle, it was down here, and it was that away. But this is the spring. This field here has held some pretty interesting things happen down here. But like I said, the only time I ever heard the wangdoodle, it was down here, and it was that away. And there's a bunch of folks from Union County has heard the end of that, and they bolted, because it don't sound like anything that you ever heard of being live. Now, people have mimicked it. I try to mimic it. I can't do it. I don't have enough breath to make it last like that. But anyway, it's really impressive if you ever get to hear the whole thing. And I'd love to get it on recorded. Get the animal caught would be a feat within itself, because it's pretty impressive, the stories and stuff. It's not like anything that you ever heard of. It's not a Bigfoot. It's not a giant thing. And my pony was as dumb as a rock, and it never messed with it the whole time it was over for 10 years. Anything could go walk up to it. But
how did it get its name? That's one thing
my great grandfather. They used to make a. It was like they classified as the boogeyman type of thing. They come up with the wangdoodle. It was really something funny. They used to have wangdoodle calls, and it's a flat piece of wood that if you ever watch Crocodile Dundee, he stood up on the hill and was doing a thing that was going. That's what it was. It was a flat piece of wood with a string in it. It would twirl and make a humming noise. That's what we was calling when I was a kid. And I'd go out in the yard and spin it. Then I'd run in the house, and it'd be daylight. Like I was afraid I was going to get the thing to come running up at me. I mean, But I've always wanted to see it. Didn't realize it until I saw it the one time. I've had 3 scream encounters in my 50 years of living. And that's because I hadn't been down here in the past 20-something years, because I've been married. So, but have y'all noticed the whippoorwills are getting louder, and it's all coming around now? So if we can get it to actually do its thing, it'd be a luck to catch it. It'd be great to catch a sound. It'd be really amazing to catch footage of it, because people told me year after year, I mean, you the wangdoodle, you set this stuff up and you do it. Well, I hate to tell them, I ain't that smart. And the other thing is, if I was going to come up with something, it'd be meaner than Bigfoot. You know, it'd be 8 foot tall and 4 heads or something. I wouldn't make up an animal that looks like a hyena in the woods and don't kill things. I mean, and never killed my dogs, and we never found any bones anywhere. One of the oddest stories that we ever had was my dad put out fertilizer over in Mount Lebanon, where we were talking about the bottoms, area where we planted. And on a Friday, he went over there and he threw out 20 bags of 10 fertilizer, 50-pound bags, and put them around the edge of the field. And he was going to go over and fertilize the field the next day with the tractor. Excuse me. And I'd ride down there. I mean, I was a kid. I was probably no more than 6 or 8 years old. And we pull up, and all the fertilizer's gone. And we're looking around, and Daddy said, somebody done come all the way down here. It's just a mile off the road. He said, somebody came down here and stole my fertilizer. Well, me and my brother jump off the back of the truck, and we start walking around. No tire tracks, no feet tracks, human tracks. And my brother walks to the edge of the field, and there's a thicket of, blackberry briar patch running the edge of the creek. And there's a hole, like a cave, and all those bags was up in that hole. Something drug all of those bags, and we spread them out from here all the way back yonder. That field was bigger than this field here, around the edge of it, just like that. And something spent all night, I took it 10 seconds. I don't know how long it took it to do it, but anyway, drug it in there, and it slept on it. Because it was fur, long hair, wiry hair. This thing stinks. Everybody says Bigfoot stinks. Everybody thinks all these things well, this thing does stink. I smelt it. It smells like a mangy, wet dog. Because that's what it kind of looks like. But as far as hair, excuse me, as far as hair, my dad saw it one night. A tickle in my throat, I'm sorry. He saw it cross the road in front of them when they had the spotlights on. They were fox hunting. And it got caught up in some barbed wire, and it yelped. So they walked down there and had a hunk of hair on it. He pulled it off, put it in his pocket. Excuse me, y'all. I'm gonna strangle. Anyway, he give it to a guy, and the guy knew a professor from Columbia, down there at University of South Carolina, and told him to tell him what animal that belonged to, because this thing's been in the woods forever. Wanted to know if they had a name for it, because around here was more common. The people around here, Claude Smith, man, lived right up the road, right over that hill there. He talked about it. Everybody around here talked about it, and it was like a myth, because none of us ever seen it. Well, once we seen it, we heard it, we knew it was for real. But very few people has ever got close enough to it. My dad was on one included. But the man told him he looked at it under a microscope and seen this was way before DNA, y'all. I was a kid. And he said, there's nothing, he matched that hair to any animal they have in their archives there in Columbia. So that was kind of spooky and eerie, But there's things out here on this earth that man has never laid eyes on. There's fish in the ocean. There's deep water that we've never been able to get to, and there's animals live down there. They send those things to spot all these weird animals. And like I said, Bigfoot, you see more and more people seeing that. The reason man can mimic that so easily is because you can put a suit on and act like that. But this thing right here is, nothing can scream like that. I wish Hollywood can't produce this. But as far as, it'll make you hurt yourself. Did y'all hear that?
I heard it.
Now, that sounded like
Wood
a
knocking.
tree hitting together. Now, the underbrush has been grown. So this is going to be this is one of those things like, if we could have actually got out here before all this started growing, would be really cool. There's a pond up here. And if the road's washed out real bad, so it's hard, you can't get up there. Plus, it's private property. There's a sign right there. But we can walk up this way. It kind of thins out a little bit. Maybe we'll see something. Whatever that was, like it beating wood together. Yeah. And like I said, I'll say it again while y'all filming. I have not had anybody go in the bushes and try to spook us tonight. So whatever happens is real. Also, I've been told, y'all, if you see the eyes will reflect yellow. Now,
I think I've seen that before out here before.
you will see a lot of animals' eyes reflect red. But this will be yellow, and plus the eyes being yellow colored, my brother said. And the other thing, y'all, is I don't know if it climbs trees or not.
I was about to ask that question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of things that it's just all kind of coming back to me. I'm kind of rusty about going booger hunting. But we don't know that for a fact. But if it has refractive claws, what other reason would it?
Yeah.
They're not climbing.
When it doesn't eat.
Yeah, as far as I know, I mean, I don't know if it eats rabbits. I don't know if it eats squirrels because we're so plentiful with those around here. But for years and years, my dad said he never messed with the chickens and stuff in the yard. Now, my grandfather had one of the oddest stories ever. This thing used to come around and he'd get under their house. And the hair would be sticking up through the old slats in the floor. And my grandpa and them said they used to do that all the time. He said they'd reach in there and grab a handful of the hair and make it run off because it would be making so much noise, grunting. It breathes really heavily. I guess it's more or less sniffing. But like the long nose of a lassie is what this animal looks like in the head. But it's really, like I said, the body is what's so odd. Having a droop rear end with a big bushy tail that drags. Proven fact. We have mountain lions in these woods. We have black bears. And you really have to pay attention when you go anywhere. Never go hiking or nothing without protection as far as the gun, because I've seen the black bear with my own 2 eyes. If you find anything as far as, like I said, I wish you could hear it off in the distance if the phones will pick up. The Hully Bridge Road and parked down there near the bridge because they cleared off all the land on the left-hand side. And those fields are wide open out there. And only guys going to be hunting would be turkey hunting in the morning, so they're not hunting at night. But we could stop in on the edge of the road and sit there and listen. Yeah, I'll tell you, it sounds really good tonight. Hear all the car noise, how we have like a low ceiling to the cloud cover. So the sound's carrying, so if it does actually holler, you'll be able to pick it up, hopefully by the phone. So do y'all want to follow me down there?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. We'll move down there to the Hully Bridge, and I don't know the people who leased it, but that whole cow pasture there used to be the trees that was real cluttered and looked just like this side of the road. But this side is where it goes to our property, and it goes to the bottom. If you walk over here and look, you can see this road. It goes down and there's a creek down here. And once you cross the creek, you go on our property. And then I would take y'all this way and we could walk it. But it's swamp and it's about this deep of sludge and you're walking on grass and all of a sudden you mire up and it's real surprising. But this during the week is a good time to come when the road is not as busy. This is a weekend and big bucks going on, so it's kind of quiet. But we had some serious rain. You hear that water pouring? I've never heard it that loud. If y'all noticed, I look up. You know, on all booger movies, you see something sitting up in a tree looking down on people, and they never look up. I always go. See if you can jump out on me. All right, let's see if we can stir up some stuff now. I'm gonna put the squealer out. jet made me think we had something coming. You hear that loud?
Every animal got quiet though.
Have you ever heard it after you called that call like that?
I hadn't had this call for a couple of years. And the only thing I could find is a baby rabbit in distress that used to make the foxes come out. My dad was going to go fox hunting. And they'd play a record that's like a baby crying. And then this thing crossed the road. They'd be looking out there, they had red spotlights on. And it crossed the road about as far as my light, talking 100, 150 yards away. And he'd come running up the road looking, I guess, for an easy meal too, and then the foxes would come around, but when it would scream, he'd go off in the woods and scream. Nothing would move. You want to know what it is?
Do you know what it is?
It's a squirrel. A nuisance of the world. But I was hearing crunching down here. Well, let me tell you what the next thing I think we can do. We'll go to the bottom. We can't go tonight because I need to let my cousin know we're going to go by their house. They freak out and they call me to come over and see who's in the bottom. It'll be me. I don't want to go over at night. But I'll take y'all over there this next week, and we'll get down there where I saw it, and let y'all see the areas and stuff where it actually runs, and if I can find a footprint. And the side where this creek runs through our property. Mm-hmm. Two of them come together, and two creeks, one runs this way, runs this way. And when you get down there on the creek, you can see where it walks right up to the water, and it's like a cat print, bigger than my hand, this big, but you don't have any claws. And my dad said, he said, is it this big around? I said, yeah. Is it a bobcat? He said, good gosh, now bobcat ain't that big. Bobcat's like this.
Mm-hmm. It'd be quiet real long and then start barking again. I heard it.
Okay. Move your vehicle. I think I might have called this one.
Y'all turned around that way, talking, and I was looking this way because I was just trying to check behind y'all, and I heard, it sounded like I thought it was it for a second because I heard the woo of a wolf, and then I heard after that, because that's what you said. I was like,
it's real long. If you ever hear it,
I thought I caught the tail end of it because I heard something. I turned around, I started looking, I started listening,
but I'm gonna
and
tell
then y'all
you,
got quiet, and I heard it.
I've heard it, and my guesstimation, I've been maybe a half mile from it, and you can hear it. I mean, you can tell it's nothing like it. It lasts so long and it's so loud. I mean, it's incredible. That's what I was saying. I told Kim, I said, well, she said, what's wrong? And I said, I think I might have caught up something. Either it could be a bobcat, it could be anything coming after.
Could be a coyote or
a coyote or something. I said, I don't know. I said, I don't want anybody getting bit or anything out here. Not that I ain't prepared to shoot anything in the bushes, but anyway.
Just in case. You never know. Because
Yeah.
there's not much one pistol can do for a pack of wolves.
Well, I got 20 rounds. That's why I told Haley whenever she asked me about this, I said, if you go, I don't want you getting hurt. That's the only thing. I don't want anybody getting hurt. Because, you know, you're asking for all kind of things out here in these booger woods. And this ain't in the country. So, but yeah, what we can do, I mean, I'd love for y'all to be able to get something, film something of it. We'll try to do this again. Hopefully the weather will agree and won't rain us out, because the bottoms is it does like this. The road is real ruddy. I mean, we can take that's 4-wheel drive. I think we can take it down there, and or we can just walk to the power line. Now the gas line that runs through here, and the power line runs across our property. And the gas line is the one that we were standing right there beside the end of the road, and that's where we can go to our old barn and walk down there and stand on a hill, and you're up on a huge hill. It's real high. It's twice as high as that steeple, and you can sit up there and see from, you know, a mile and a half, 2 miles. We camped out down there when Tyler was maybe, shoot, I can't remember how old he was. He was young. He might have been in the 5th or 6th grade, but Tyler Adams stayed down there, and they wanted to be in their own tent. I had my own tent, and Jerry Hand and all those kids that used to live over there at the Bell's place had their tent. And I woke up the next morning, and I slept like a log. We didn't go to bed about 2 o'clock in the morning. I got up about 6. And Jerry had the fire going, and he was looking at me, and I said, "What is it?" He said, "What's that thing I've been hearing scream all night?" I said, "Probably a bobcat." I didn't want to go in detail with him. I didn't know what he heard. It didn't wake me up. Mm-hmm. But he said, "This thing is weird. It don't sound like a bobcat I ever heard." That's all he ever said, and he was a Yankee, so he never heard anything like that. But it was snowing, and Joseph's birthday party, and we spent the night in the church. We used to spend the night every Friday night to Saturday morning, and then the parents would come and pick the kids up when around 9 o'clock. And about 4:30 in the morning, it started sleeting and snowing. We got about 2 inches on the ground, and I walked out to go move my car under the canopy, the little the breezeway where I could load everything up from his party. And it was just us boys. There were like seven little ones and me, and Jonathan.
Yeah.
And I looked out there, and there was four feet prints had come up out of the bushes, walked over there and stood and looked in the window, and then went back down that hill. And I said, "Man, I don't know what it was," and it didn't have claw prints on the toes, but looked like a dog print, big hoof print. And Joseph, first thing came out of his mouth, "The wangdoodle been looking at us." I said, "Oh man." People used to blame me for getting spooked. They'd go out to Noki Road or go to Spring. Something would happen, and I'd be in Greenville in a nightclub when I was single, and I come home, people open my yard at 2 in the morning. "Man, you funny, you scared us." I went, "What?"
I did what now?
So what did I claim to do?
What I did?
"Oh man, I'd make that screaming noise, and then that light floated across there. How'd you do that across that field?" I go, "I don't know what y'all talking about." "Oh, you fool." But yeah, we need to do this again. I'll see if I can get in touch with my buddy about that camera.
Okay.
And I'll let my cousins know that we're gonna go down there, and we'll park over in where we used to live, and we'll ride down there either ride down to the bottoms or ride as far as we can. We go to an old campsite. It overlooks. That's where the thing ran through that time.
Yeah.
Come from my campsite. But I mean, I don't know how the underbrush and stuff's gonna. If you decide you want to film some more, go to the other end of the Noki Road, down there where Ronald Fleming's, and then drive up towards the field and stop right there to the left or right.
Right there below this house?
Yeah, right where you used to come out of the trees, and sit there, because people told me that they seen it cross the field and stuff out there before. Now, this is back when cows and stuff was there, but I never seen it. I mean, my dad told me, he said, everybody can say what they want. He said, either it eats rabbits and field rats or possums, but it never mess with our chickens, and never mess with that little dinky pony I had or nothing. Me and my cousin was camping out over there in the top of our old barn, and that's the first time I ever heard it scream. I was 14. And I'm sitting there with a 20 gauge shotgun in my hand, and he's got a 444 bear rifle. And we're we just cooked breakfast at 5 in the morning to go deer hunting, and I was going to shoot squirrel nests as we walked around to shoot deer.
Yeah.
And he looks at me, and we had just finished cooking breakfast and eating. And I said, I think it's time for lunch. He said, me too. So we opened the cooler and cooked lunch, and we sat there till the sun come up. We went about to walk in them woods, and that thing, oh my gosh. That's the best, and I heard it from the very first whimper of the scream. Because he looked up at me, and he went, that, and he was going to say, that's a weird whistle.
And it kept going.
And it went from, and it lasts for, a long time. Every fiber in my being and every hair on my neck was standing straight up when I heard it that very first time. I looked at him and I said, I got a gun and I'm not coming at it. I hope the weather stays like this because it's not bugs.
I think it's supposed to.
Stay good and cool when we get y'all some more footage, and hopefully we'll get y'all the sound of something out there off in the distance, because this will be legendary. Trust me. I tell you what, I hope we get it for that sake too, to put the naysayers to to put their foot in their mouth.
Well, you need to like show it.
Even if you get something, that's not.
Well,
that's probably something else.
Listen, it don't matter if you captured it, put it in a bucket, and took it over and opened it and say, "Hey, look, here's a cage. We captured it. Oh, it's a dog." I mean, there's naysayers everywhere around. But trust me, my great-grandfather and them and my grandpa and my dad had, I mean, if you're going to make up something, I'd have made up something a lot better than...
Scared.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, well, we'll call it a night tonight, y'all, and I'll get us a little more prepared. And y'all got 2 weeks before this thing is due?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So we got time.
So we got two more weekends before it's due, or is it... Okay.
After regrouping on day 2, we decided to check the old Noki room.